gonna start off with some therapizing, I fear. Okay, how do you not resent your parents/family for their life choices that are opposite to yours? Girl, probably one of my biggest mental health accomplishments is being able to be in a place where my family's choices don't debilitate me. How to get the most out of a job that you settled for/don't plan on staying at for 2+ years. Ooh, girl, Kira, I'm gonna give you 3 bullet points. So you guys wanna know about men and dating. I have learned so much about boys. Hello. And welcome back to Too Smart for This. We have a new look if you're watching on YouTube because I'm doing this pod from bed today in my Philadelphia apartment. I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay because I got a new mic and I am actually just going to check and make sure that that's the... Actually, no, I think it's fine. I don't want to get out of the zone, but welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to chat because I honestly feel like, well, first of all, I already just feel so much more comfortable like sitting in my bed right now, but I have been coming to this reckoning over the summer as I'm like looking at all of my different situations, projects, opportunities, and I got to a place where I was just like not motivated by anything. And I think one of the reasons that I'm not like obsessed with like content creation is because I really haven't found a way to show my personality online, which is tea. I know. But I feel like people meet me in real life and they say I'm very different from how, not so different. I mean, I've really made strides on this because it's been like a conscious thing I've thought about in the past. But they'll meet me and be like, you're so much more interesting and fun in real life than you are on TikTok. Which is kind of a humble brag. If I'll just put it out there. Yeah, it's like kind of amazing to be better in real life. You know what I mean? Like that's a good thing. But I feel like the reason I haven't felt inspired by or connected to content creation is because it's not natural for me. And I'm always constantly like a little worried about what people think and how I'm perceived, and I'm really getting over that. As the frontal lobe has settled in my body in the last couple of months, I really have like stopped caring what people think because I just kind of recognize that like everyone who is worried about you is insecure about their own thing, so it's not really a reflection of you when you trigger them unless you deliberately do something to hurt them or you can't take responsibility for how you made them feel. And I feel like I really try to take responsibility for how I make people feel and do my best in that situation without really like being too, I don't know, like guilt oriented. So anyway, the point is, here I am today to be very vulnerable and honest with you guys about the realities of my life, which I have not been sharing with you. I don't know, because I was scared, people are mean, and I didn't know what to do, and I just, all of the above. And so now I'm just kind of like, fuck it, let's get real, because what's the point of me sharing my life if like you kind of only see the picture perfect version? And I feel like this was kind of inspired by looking at some of my favorite creators. And there are creators I love because they have an aspirational and beautiful lifestyle, but the creators I feel most connected to are the ones who are really sharing their lives. So here's to really sharing and trying to be way more intentional as a creator, starting with this Q&A. All right, team. We're about to pop into it, drinking out of my favorite little mug, my Anthropology mug. Today, guys, I'm also wearing, if you're watching, the new Too Satin robe. I haven't named it yet. Do you guys have any ideas for names? Because we have the Too Classic, the Too Cozy, and then the forthcoming Too Chill, which is like a jersey, like hanging out at home material, and it has a surprise that you're going to be obsessed with. But the satin, I also feel, is like, I want it to be a C. Is that crazy for wanting it to be a C? Like, maybe that's, like, stupid, but maybe, like, actually, I have no clue. I have no idea. I had an idea at some point. Maybe it was, like, the thing that's coming to my mind right now is too chuggy, which is, like, not what it is. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, something... Too chuggy is insane. Couldn't tell you. We're gonna have to get on thesaurus.com. Love it there. All right, let's get started with this Q&A. The girls are asking we're going to start off with some therapizing, I fear. Okay. How do you not resent your parents/family for their life choices that are opposite to yours? Girl, I'm the best person to ask about this. Not the best, actually the best, because we're probably a similar age. You're a girl just like me. I just got back from visiting my family in St. Louis, and I have to say, this was the first visit where I left feeling like my cup was filled, not depleted, depressed, anxious, and hopeless. And that's because, okay, I'm trying really hard, guys. By the way, I feel like when I do content creation, I put on this content creator voice where I am talking like a fucking lecturer. And the point is, I feel like that's not authentic to me. So I just heard myself doing it. And I'm going to keep that in so you can see the difference. And now I'm going to talk to you like you're my best friend who's dealing with something like this. Okay, so I totally get it because my family and I have such different life values, such different life choices. I have 2 siblings who had children when they were in their teenage years. My mother had me as a teenager. I have family that chooses not to vaccinate their kids and homeschools them. And I have family that doesn't believe in drinking and partying and all that type of thing. And I have family with completely different. I'm actually the outlier in my family. And I remember growing up feeling like I had to control. I had felt 2 major feelings, honestly. The first one was a shame that my family wasn't picture perfect and that there was drama in it. And I think I felt a lot of shame towards that for a while. And then I also felt a need to control the lives of the people around me. So that was my parents, who I didn't feel like were doing as best as they could. And then there was my siblings who I wanted to control their lives. And honestly, it was only through years of therapy that I was able to let go of that responsibility and that shame. It's probably one of my biggest mental health accomplishments is being able to be in a place where my family's choices and emotions don't debilitate me. So the point is, my tips for not resenting your family are as follows. Usually you're resenting the resentment and the feelings and the frustration that you have towards your family is in direct proportion to your goals in life, which means you're probably not really focused on yourself and really committed to what you want to do without shame and without guilt. Because maybe you are really passionate about your job, but you feel guilty about pursuing it because your family doesn't necessarily understand or approve. And until you can be fully committed to what you are going after, it doesn't really help to be around your family, you know what I mean? Or to compare yourself, because it just kind of shows that you're way too worried about other people instead of yourself and instead of your own goals. So I remember this in particular for me was when I had graduated college in 2020, moved back home for a little bit, and then moved to New York at the end of that year. And in those 6 months that I was living in St. Louis, I had a brief stint in San Francisco as well. I remember trying to do so much for my family to the point where I lost all of my savings trying to help them do this one big thing. And I thought I was so excited because I was I can finally do something. I can make the family and the connections that I wanted to make with my family. But I got swept up in that. It wasn't really serving me. It wasn't the right thing for me to do. And I ended up losing all of my money trying to do this one thing. And that was my huge, huge note from the universe that was bitch, as long as you continue to help people who don't have the same goals, aspirations, life values as you will be the one who gets hurt. You are going to be the one that gets hurt because just because you want something doesn't mean somebody else has to. They have to want it for themselves, and you resenting them for wanting something different than you is only hurting you on a day-to-day basis. You being consumed with that is literally they don't care. They don't care. It's about you. And so you are actively hurting yourself. It's not self-care by doing that. And you can't control. You'll get to the same place I did if you continue to try to control and feel resentment towards your family for their choices, where you'll lose everything, whether it's your money, your emotional support, your temper, your ability to be around them. You'll lose that too, because that's what happens when you try to control other people. People are not on this earth. Family is not on this earth for you to approve what they're doing, just like they're not there to approve what you're doing. So for you to resent them, it's a waste of your own energy because people are going to do what they want to do. The biggest like life lesson I feel like I've ever had is, and that I'm constantly relearning, is don't expect things from people that you know that they cannot give you. Let's say a man tells you, I don't like to buy women flowers, and then you expect him to buy you flowers every week. You're dumb. He told you, don't expect things from people that you know they don't want to give you. Or that they can't give. Maybe he says, I can't afford it, and you still are sad every week you didn't get flowers. You're dumb, okay? Like, think critically here. And then you just have to apply that to, unfortunately, much deeper emotional connections where it's like, I know that my father doesn't know how to say I love you, and so I'm not going to expect him to, and I'm just going to look for love in other ways. That's sort of what you have to do. That's not a personal thing for me. Don't have a father, XOXO. Anyway, that's the tea. It's none of your business. It's none of your business if they make different choices. Ask yourself what your capacity is to have them in your life and act accordingly. How to get the most out of a job that you settled for / don't plan on staying at for 2+ years. Ooh, girl, Kira, I'm going to give you 3 bullet points, okay? Lots of people settle for the job they want to be in. But like, girl, the economy's bad. We got to get these jobs. We got to get this money. You know what I mean? The point is, you got to start by being grateful. And then you got to start by being strategic. So by being grateful, I mean, you got a job. That's amazing. I'm happy for you. And if you got this job and you took it, that means that you are there for a reason. And whatever that reason is up for you to find out. But it's for a reason. So don't wallow in feeling like, ugh, I settled for this. Ugh, this sucks. Ugh, whatever. That's not the vibe, you know? That's not going to be helpful for you. So be grateful for it and look for the good. Like, what is the best possible situation that you could get out of this job? And the best resources that you can take with you. It doesn't have to be many. It could just be friendships at work. It could be you get access to a type of software that you didn't have before and you get to use that. It could be something small, but whatever it is, or it could be a skill set. Who knows? So sometimes I would say if you're thinking about a job that you settled for, there's a skill that you need to build at this job, whether it's technical or interpersonal, and find what that is and apply it to what you want your long-term career to look like. So let's say you are long-term want to be a fashion editor and you land a job working in retail. And you didn't want to work in retail. It wasn't really your vibe. You wanted to do something more like on the content side or something like that. What I would do if I was working in retail and wanted to end up in fashion is 2 things. You can learn sales. Sales is an important skill that no matter what is going to be valuable to you long term, especially if you're a fashion editor. So what you're going to want to do is learn sales, and then you can sort of spin that on your resume, especially if it was something you feel like you settled for, into oh yes, I was really excited to learn my sales skills at this job. So find your little corporate skill that you can learn from your job. And then another thing I would take from retail is building those relationships with people and trend forecasting and learning from people on what they're interested in. And when they come in, inquire about how they learned about this or why they have this personal style. And that will give you something that you can use long term. And then as you measure that skill throughout the time you're there for, say, it's 2 years, once you feel like you've tapped out on whatever that skill is, or you look at the next year and you don't feel like you'll be learning anything in this job or doing anything you didn't do before, then it's time for you to look for another job where you can build another skill. Jobs are really just skill building containers. Look, oh my God, okay, I got a little corporate on that one now that I'm thinking about it, because when it comes to career stuff, that's actually how I talk to most people about career stuff. So let me not get into that. Okay. Can you share a hot take about being an entrepreneur or having a side hustle? A hot take. My hot take is most people who are, quote, successful entrepreneurs, their parents are paying for it. Not really, but like being able to go to your parents and ask for like a $30,000 loan or something like that would have helped me so much. Unfortunately, like I have to ask for like a bank or something like that with interest and all that. But you know what I mean? I would say that like I just feel like I love business and entrepreneurship. So I would research a lot of women who were really making it as founders over the past probably 15-ish years. Or I'll say 10 years, because I probably got into this while I was in college and end of high school. So probably for the past 10 years, I've been really interested in this space. And all of the women that I would research who were doing really well, I was like, oh, your dad is a billionaire. Oh, you married a multimillionaire. And let me walk it back a little bit. It's not all of them, but I think it's like a lot more than you would think. And we see these really cool success stories. And something I think a lot of women do when they get interviewed, when they are experiencing success, is they minimize it in a way that makes you feel like if you're working too hard, or that it just kind of happens out of nowhere and that it's not strategic. How many times do we hear that same trope of like, oh, it just happened out of nowhere, or I just got lucky and it just sort of like took off? That's the like mindset that I feel like so many women entrepreneurs go into these interviews with, and that's what they're saying to people. And it's like, to actually be successful, it doesn't just like pop off like that. Like, it takes years of hard work, it takes years of strategy, or it takes you knowing the right person. And you could just say that. Like, that's my thing, is like, you could just say that, because obviously if you get your like brand on a celebrity early, like that, it doesn't just all like happen right after that. But like, I do think like the speed at which a lot of these brands take off, many of them are not being honest about the strategy, resources, and network that they use to get there, and instead feeding young female entrepreneurs this idea that like, if you just like are passionate enough about it, you'll hit your big break and it'll all be fine. And it just happens out of nowhere. Or even when it's like content creators are like, yeah, like I never wanted to be famous. I never thought this could happen. So why were you posting 5 times a day for 2 years then? Like, you clearly wanted it. You clearly were learning. You clearly were being strategic. Like, what's wrong with admitting that? Like, admitting you tried, it's like, I guess we just don't like that Cinderella story as much. But like, that's my hot take, I guess I should say, is like, it takes a lot more work, connections, self-work, like all these things to get these things that women are just being like, yeah, well, we're just so lucky that it happened that way. And it's like so annoying to me. So let me get off my soapbox. But yeah, that pisses me off bad. Like, tell me your strategy, you know? Okay. What's something you used to believe in that you've changed your mind on? A lot of things. A huge thing that I believe in is strong opinions loosely held. So I change my mind about things all the time. I'm always like, you know what? That isn't going to work for me. Something I probably, and I don't know, no, I don't know if I want to say that yet. I want to be vulnerable, but not that vulnerable. I guess one thing I changed my mind on is dating for marriage. I grew up in a very like conservative family and town, and there were non-conservative like streaks, obviously. So I guess I always operated in this way of like, getting married and having kids is like the ultimate thing. I'm the oldest of 8 and 30 grandkids. So like, everybody has babies and stuff. And I believe like if you were supposed to date someone and like commit to them, then that should be forever. And you should only date or have sex with people that you would want to marry. That went out the window real quick. Please. No, I think I stayed in my relationship for a really long time because I was idolizing marriage and a future. And I think a lot of women do this, where we get in with someone, they check all of our boxes, so we create a future with them instead of thinking about how that they make us feel today in the here and now. And just because someone's good on paper doesn't mean you have to marry them. And also, everyone you date doesn't have to be failed because you didn't get married. Like, it's okay, and you took a lesson from that, and that's part of life too. It can be sad, but it's part of life. And so I think, yeah, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. I guess I just used to only think like, you commit to one person, you stay with them forever, and like, you should get married, and it's a failure if it's not. And now it's like, it's a lesson if it's not. And also, you can't predict how you're going to feel in the future. So you should be focused on how someone makes you feel today, because how they're going to make you feel is the relationship you're going to be in. Not the accolades or the, oh, this guy was this, or it's a power couple and they have 4 kids and 3 houses. It's like, do you feel good though? Do ya? Okay. Book recommendations for personal finance. I think the only book you need is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. A fucking star. I love his approach to money management. He gives you a clear layout of exactly how to manage your money. And he also does it from a place of like psychology, where it's like, you can have a rich life once you prioritize what you want to be spending your money on. For example, I recently realized that as much as I like love shopping and clothing and having high quality clothing pieces, because my life would change so much and I get invited to something or have to do this or have to do that, I would like, due to being so frantic, spend like $300 on a dress that I would wear once. And as much as like I would love how I would feel in that dress, I think this time last year I talked to you guys about how like spending money on like quality clothes was really feeling great for me. And now I've changed that philosophy to be I don't spend more than $100 on something that I don't think I'll wear more than 3 times in the next 6 months. And so, for example, I will spend $300 on a Goldie jeans because those jeans make me feel my absolute best. And I wear them probably 2 to 3 times a week. And same with shoes. Like I don't actually spend too much on shoes. I guess I should give a different example. But the point is, or like a House of CB, my like white House of CB milkmaid dress. Like I wear that all the time and it's a perfect go-to because I know it's going to feel good and it's more like $180. Whereas there's like dresses with pops of color, dresses that are more trendy and stuff, and like just because it's like will come fast and is on Revolve, like I'll spend all this money on it, and that's just not smart. So because I know I'd rather spend that money on upgrading my flight when I travel somewhere else or on a nice meal in a new city, because travel is probably my biggest like priority right now. I'd even like to spend that kind of money on like things like food, like ordering out on a Tuesday when I'm super busy, you know? So that's the type of thing that Ramit like really preaches in his content, and that's why I really like resonate with it, because it encompasses an entire human being, not just A to Z financial checklist. Another book I've been wanting to read, though, is Vivian 2, aka Your Rich BFF, her book, because I met her before 2 or 3 times. We follow each other on Instagram. She's so cool. She's so smart, so generous, and so confident, and the type of person I'm just so like obsessed with. And I've seen clips about her strip philosophy, and so I think Ramit's book has been really good for knowing how to manage my money, but I want to read Vivian's about how I think her philosophy is like make more money. And that's my philosophy too, as I've started to make more money, is like I don't feel like a constraint on how much money I can make. Like, I don't see the idea of me making $1 million in a year one day as like something impossible. I actually see it as something very inevitable. And that's kind of scary for me to say here, but like I mean, do I think I'll make this amount of money from content because I'm the best content creator in the world? Not yet, no. But like I'm not really, but like the point is like I just now, and especially being at Wharton, like I'm at the top school for finance with like some of like all these people who are going to be future leaders or one day, and it's like I'm at that same level as you academically, and I've met you before, and like if you can do it, I can do it. And it's like a lot of people make a lot of money simply because they're entitled to it. They feel entitled to it. That's how rich, being great friends with many a white man here at Wharton School of Finance, if you ask our most famous alum, it is like they just are entitled to things, and that's how they get a lot of the shit that they want, is because they ask for it and they think they deserve it, even though you would say they probably don't. And that's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? So like TBH, if I'm being honest with you, start being more entitled and thinking you deserve the amount of money you want. That was such a tangent, and that's like really what's playing in my brain, but I think that's my philosophy, and I have a feeling Vivian's is like that too. So I'm going to order that book, and I'll let you know how I like it. All right. I'm going to do 2 or 3 more. Oh. So you guys want to know about men and dating. I guess I kind of have touched on that a little bit. I have learned so much about boys over the last, 10 months that I've been single? Almost 11. How is dating going, they say. They want to know. Terrible. If I'm honest with you guys, got out of like a pretty brutal situationship pretty recently. And I think during the course of that whole situationship, my energy was just being sucked out of me. I was spending so much time worrying about it all the time. And I was so consumed by someone who literally didn't check my boxes. And I just, like, cannot believe I just, like, let myself get treated in a way that's just, like, not a way I would ever want my friends to be treated. And all my friends were like, this isn't good for you, and I didn't listen. And I'm proud of myself for trying, because I would like to stay a lover girl for as long as I can before I get jaded. But I'm also really, like, I think in every relationship that quote unquote fails, you lose a little bit of self-trust, and I don't want, and like that sucks, you know? So I'm all good now, and like I don't love giving too many like real-time updates about dating, but I will. I'll just say, like, I've met someone since who like restored my hope in men, I guess you could say. But generally, I've learned a lot about myself, and the biggest thing I've learned about myself is that I have to trust my gut. And something a friend said to me recently was, because I was like, oh, I really like this guy, like my feelings are there, but my mind isn't there. And my friend was like, you are mistaking the idea that compatibility is not just the realities and the feelings. Like, you're separating feelings from compatibility, and you have to realize that they are the same thing, and they should be the same thing. And if you don't have compatibility, feelings don't matter, and you have to put those two things together when you're evaluating whether to spend time building a life with someone. Because if you're dating someone and you want to be with them long term, that's because you want them to be potentially a life partner. And if you're not compatible with your life partner, your life isn't going to go how you want it to go. So don't mistake those things as one or the other. They're the same thing. And don't let feelings get in the way of true compatibility and how you feel when you're with someone. So that's how dating's been going. I've been learning. I've been doing a really good job of speaking up for myself. I have a huge issue with like telling men when they piss me off. I don't have a problem doing it with anybody else. Like, I don't have a problem telling like a lot of people if they piss me off. In fact, many things piss me off on a daily basis. But I do always feel anxious doing it with guys. And I'm getting way better at that. Like, I'm so good. I've been like, yeah, you pissed me off. And it's great. So I'm proud of myself. That's how dating is going. Someone asked for health routine stuff. I talked to you guys last month about like my cycle balancing and shit like that. And if I'm real with you, I'm really happy, because after I got back on my supplements and like my walks and that type of stuff, my luteal phase this month, it wasn't perfect. Like, I still was sad, but it was a lot better than last month, and I'm really happy about that. So get your supplements going back, girl. Get it all together. I talked about it in a couple episodes ago, but it made a world of difference. So with that being said, that's the end of the Q&A for this week. I hope I felt more real to you, because that's how I wanted to feel. I'm trying to just be more honest and open. I love you guys more than the whole world. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you. Leave a comment down below on whatever resonated with you in this episode. Make sure to shop 2 Collective. We're having an amazing launch coming up really soon, and get on the wait list for these satin robes. Like, I'm literally just like lounging here like a total princess. Like, I feel so good. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and don't forget, you're too smart to not love yourself. Bye.